Hey guys, CryptoJG here, and today I'll be talking you through and also demoing you how I was able to achieve a critical account takeover that affected several millions accounts. This was because I found an IDOR, and that same IDOR I was able to utilize it with the email change functionality. The idea was in the email change functionality. I was able to use it to be able to change any like the any email for any customer of that company. So okay, the let's talk about how the attack worked. Uh, on the target, when you tried to change your email, uh, I'll be showing plus with the demo. When you try to change your email, it made a first request with your ID to request an email. After it made that request, two emails would be sent. One email to the current email and the confirmation to the new email. The one to the current email was a warning telling you that you have asked for to change your password, and the verification one is for verifying that indeed you had changed your password. Uh, However, when I tried, since the email is being sent to the attacker, when I try to click, when it is sent, it's sent with the names of the user. So at first I tried to click that link, but my account never got linked. I tried again and my account never got linked. Every time it would redirect me to the login page. So I stayed there and thought, hmm, what can I do since I don't have the password for this account. So the thing that I tried to do was I I I kind of tried to play around with it for a few minutes and I gave up. After giving up, I decided to report it as a low vulnerability information disclosure. Then af when I was writing the report, I decided to go and give it another look before I submit it. So I did, and that's where I found a new endpoint. So I have the demo and it has some documentation. Okay, so this is how the flow went. When a user wanted to change their email, the the request would first be sent to a post request with the user ID. For me, I'm using a UID. I couldn't find a way to make Express work with sequentials ID with MongoDB. So it would send the ID and then it would send those two emails. Then what I discovered while I was writing the report and decided to play with it, I discovered it had another path that it would after you click login, after the user verified that they wanted to change their password and clicked login, it would send a request to email user ID accept verification code. So, and it will take a user ID, the user ID parameter and the verification code, which is sent to the attacker. I decided to test this and I found that both of these endpoints had no proper access controls. And so using that, I was able to change the bug from a row slash informational one to a critical. It was rated as critical. So today we'll be demoing how this is gonna go, and let's get into the demo. So as you can see, this is the endpoint that we want to reach this endpoint. This is the we want to get a flag from here, and as you can see, we have a few endpoints, and the one that first interests you is the register, since to test authenticated things you need to register. So let's try it. And when you try it, it's first it says user is already registered. So let's try with an email that I control. Not take that. Let's do let's do let's use this. So and let's execute this. And once it's we have done that, it returns us an array of some information. We have a user has been created, the email, encoded password. I mean, let's just say encoded, and some default values that I set. And then we have the role of user. Now let's log in with this user that with our user, since we have a login endpoint here. Okay, let's try it out, and we successfully get a JWT token. Since we have the token, now we can do all these requests that are authenticated. As you can see, this is unauthenticated. For this one, when you try to execute it, it says token is required and error unauthorized, and all of this require, as you can see, they have this padlock, they require authentication. So those are the endpoints that you're interested in. So let's authorize the request. And now when I was since as you can see, my request here, I am using UIDs. As you can see from here, I'm using UIDs. However, my target was using random codes, but had a fallback for integer IDs. And since I couldn't get them to work with MongoDB, uh, I created an endpoint to fetch all the available user IDs so that we can make this attack easy. So after I do that, we get a bunch of user IDs, as you can see. Let's now move the attack to backsuit. We have login. As you can see, we have login. We have register first, the request that failed. We have the one that was successful. Then we have the one that we logged in, and we have those for token, as you can see the token here. And then we have this get IDs, and we had that me endpoint. That one just returns our user, and we have the role of user. Now, when you look at these IDs, if you have been hacking for a while, you will know these are random UIDs. However, there's no way that this one could have been generated by the application. So we know this one is hard coded. This one was hard coded. Now, what I did was, during when I was hacking the target, I tested the email change functionality. As a where is our user ID register? We were given this one. So the thing I did was just change this a little bit so that it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't offend the user. So when I was attacking the target and I saw that they had this parameter, I decided to test it. I had a test account, and uh, earlier they were when the request was sent from MAP, I had two accounts. One was open. One used normal IDs like the sequential ones like those that are that just increment by one, and another had something complex, something that was unguessable. So when I was investigating, I realized that they had a random ID and they had a fallback. I think they were redesigning the system and introduced these random IDs where earlier during the first like the first time when the application was built, they were using normal IDs. So we know we are going to take a post request, and we need a content type. Content type. Since if when you send this request without the content type, okay, okay, let's just first get the ID. This is the ID that we'll be attacking. So if we send this without the content type, let's see what happens. And we get an internal server error. So when we look at the server logs, we see we need some things are required. So let's start this. And okay, I when I send this request, it hangs because I did not implement proper error handling and whatnot. But as you can see, we get an email sent wrong. So the email was sent successfully. So okay, and as you can see, we have a verification token here. So at first, when I had the verification token from from my target, I didn't know where it went, and all my tests proved not to do anything. However, uh, I was able to find an endpoint was taking that took a request that looked like this. Okay, let me check the docs a little bit. Okay, it's a patch request. It was a patch request, and it patches the ID. So let's see what happens. As you can see, this was the code that we found. Let's change and see what happens. Okay, that is not what. Patch. Let's check the code again. Let's change a little bit and see. cannot patch email, blah blah blah. Oh, accept. I think if I can type. Oh, let's restart the server quickly so that we avoid that retrieving. I foolishly set it too low. And is the server up? Yeah, the server is up. So as you can see, when we modify the token, we get an invalid or expired token. And now let's paste the real token and see what happens. We get a verification successful. Now the next thing, after I had a successful IDOR, the next thing I did was after I had changed the email. Now we need to log in so that we can prove we have successfully taken over the account. However, remember we don't know the password. We don't know the only password we know is ours. We don't know the password for the account that we have taken over. So the next thing I did was I performed a password reset. And as always, I forgot to code properly for that email sent thing. But as you can see, the email has been sent. And when we come back to this new, you get your password reset is, you get this random. Now, now we can change the password. So, and the token, and let's do capital. Let's see. And we get password reset successfully. So now that we have this, now we can try to log in. Also, if you remember, there was this frag endpoint, so that there was just this frag endpoint, and when we execute it, we get access denied. Even as logged in, we get access denied. So let's see if now with that user that we have taken over, if we have access to that. I think that was it. And we get a token, and this token has the role of admin, and the email that we set, as you can see, the email that we set. And now that we have the new token and we had this we had this new frag endpoint. Okay, let's test this one, and voila, we have the frag. Okay, so let's send this, and as you can see, we are the admin, and our email is the one that we set this. So you can see all this detail. His email is set to true. Okay, now let me show you the code of how all this works. So the vulnerable component is in, okay, first let me show you the frag. The frag, as you can see, is, this is the frag. As you can see, once it's under the frag root, and we first check if we have a token. If not, we say the token is, we raise an error of token being required. Then we verify the token, and after verifying the token, we verify that the user has admin roles, so that we can show them the frag. And if the user has admin roles, we give them back the frag. Else we tell them access denied. That's what was happening. So that's the code for. Okay, I just increased the font a little bit. That's the code for the frag endpoint. It just checks if we have a token, and if the token is valid, and if the user dot role from that token is admin. If it's that, it returns the frag, and the frag is this hard coded value. Now, this is how I imagined the web app was. So as you can see, we generate a random token. This is the one that is being sent to the user for verification and also for password reset. So first thing first is we have this post that takes in a user ID. As you can see, there's no check. We just check if the user is authorized and if we have a token. And as you can see, then we store in we store that in the user model. We store it as in the user ID of that from that request, and the token we store them in a user model, and the verification code and is saved in the verification model. We show you how the models look, and then we send just a simple email. Uh, for the verification, uh, we just do something simple as checking if the user is verified and whatnot, and then we use the verification code. We check if the verification code exists. If it exists, we log it, and then also here, as you can see, we also find the user ID. We find the user in the user correction using their user ID, so that we can be able to update the user. And if the ID supplied does not result in a user, we say a user is not found, and then we change the email, and we end up deleting the verification code. So here is how the model looks. This is the password reset token. It just stores the token as a string, a created that and expire search. And then we have the user ID, which is a string. Verification is just the same, but with 24 hours. And then the user model is just, it takes in an ID, which is a UID, and a string, a first name, which is a string, last name, email, password, birth date is email, and the role, which by default the role is user, but we have two roles, user and admin. So also I would like to show you about the password reset. As you can remember, we send a token here. We store it. We store the token. start after before sending it. We store it with the user ID. However, when it comes to updating, uh, we take the email, the token, and the new password. First, this is the code I added that we check. We should check if the user is the owner of the code, and I'll show you what happens. I'll show you what happens when a user you don't verify if when you don't verify if the user is the owner or if that code is for that email. Let me share. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get this working. So, okay, now we have that. Now, we will try to change. We'll try to change the password for or start password change or reset password. Here it is. We'll try to change the password for a different user. Let's try it out. Let's use bar. And we have start. We have to request. So the first thing we do is we send that, and as you can see, we have sent it, and as you can see, the code we have generated is this. This one is the code that was generated, and it's for the user admin. However, we want to change the password. We want to change the password for where was that user? The user that we created earlier. This user. So, okay, let's first add their email and the new password. So we get an invalid or expired token, and then let's go to the email and we have a new email. As you can see, this code matches exactly the code that I have showed you in the console.log. And then we have a new. As you can remember, this was sent for it was sent for this user. It was sent for this user, for the user with this ID. So you will see in the console log, we send that and we get a password reset successfully. Now, as you start login, if you remember, the login that gave us the JWT is this one. However, this time when we try to log in, we get invalid login attempts. So this is another type of bug where they don't verify the code, and I'll show you. As you can see with the new password, we are able to log in. However, when we come to the console.log, as you can see, we were able to log the the user the ID that was created. As you can see, uh, our password reset correction was this. This should correspond to this user ID. However, in our code, I commented out this part. Let me uncomment it out and show you that indeed this works. This fix works. So we have restarted the DB. Now let's get another password reset. And as you can see, this one, it has been sent. It's just the same thing. Don't know even why I'm opening the email. It's just the same thing. However, this time when we try to change the password of a user we don't control, let's add an extra. we get an error. We get a 441 error, and this is how the console looks like. We were able to get the ID. We were able to log the object, and as you can see, this belongs to this, and that's exactly what our code is doing. It's checking. It's just doing first. It logs the token. It first logs the token, as you can see, and then checks if the user dot email, the email that we have supplied from the request is email, if it's the same as the email from the user ID. As you can see, we get the user is owner from user model dot find one with the ID from supplied from the research token from the research token. Yeah, that's basically how that bug works, and I guess that's it. And thank you so much for coming into my stream, and I think that this is where I'll be ending it. Okay, goodbye. See you another time.